Welcome to class today. This is an illustration on how to achieve this stylish blouse. Particular top, for the measurements, I'll be drafting it in a miniature form. So you need your shoulder to bust, under bust, waist, and blouse length. Now, the first thing you're going to do is to mark your shoulder divided by 2, and you're going to add ½ inch to it because this dress has a sleeve, right? So let's take here as my shoulder divided by 2 plus half. Now from here, you're going to come down by 1 inch. From that 1 inch, you're going to mark a basic neckline of 3 inches. So let's say this is my basic neckline of 3 inches, and I'll mark. From this my shoulder slant, I'll connect it to this point. Then I'm going to go ahead to find my chest line, which is the bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. My bust is 33 inches divided by 6 plus 1.5, it will give me 7. So let's just take this as the 7 inches because we are cutting this on a miniature form. I'll mark. Next, I'm going to find the chest line. I'm going to mark what I have on the shoulder, on the chest line. Now I'll go ahead to connect. After connecting, divide what you have here into 2 equal parts, right? Now mark ½ inch, come in by ½ inch. At this chest line, mark your bust circumference divided by 4. Connect from this point to here and then connect all the way to the chest line. Now I'm going to just mark a basic neckline of 3 inches here. We're still going to alter the neckline of this dress. The next step is to mark your darts. So for the dart, you're going to measure your nipple to nipple divided by 2. So let's say this is my nipple to nipple. My actual nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2, which will give me 3.5 inches, right? So for this particular pattern, I'm using this for the nipple to nipple line. Now for your dart, I'll mark half here and 1.5. This is because I don't have much bust and I'm on the smaller side. So if you're a bit busty on you are on the bigger side, you use 1 inch here and 2 inches here. I'll mark half here, mark 1.5. That is if your bust is like below, your bust is like 35, below 35, and the rest like 34, 33 inches. So I'll mark 1.5 here. Now I'm going to go ahead to connect this. Now from here I'll connect to the bust, then connect from the bust, I'll connect to the under bust and connect to the other side. Now at that your midpoint, connect it all the way to the bust line. Now I'm going to mark a dart intake of ½ inch on both sides, blend it into the actual pattern. Now ½ inch on both sides, I'll replace it at the armhole here and connect it back. Now I'll add the bust circumference divided by 4 and add a sewing allowance. Go ahead to replace this dart. It is optional. If you don't want to replace it, you can leave it, or you just add your bust circumference and add your sewing allowance. Mark your under bust circumference divided by 4. Measure this dart intake you took out here. Whatever you take out, replace it and add your sewing allowance. Here on your waist, mark your waist circumference divided by 4. Measure back the dart intake you have here, replace and add your sewing allowance. So I'm using a straight dart for this pattern. It is easier to work with this, especially if you're a beginner. So here I'll mark my hip circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, then add my sewing allowance. Now you want to go ahead to connect this from the bust to the under bust to the waist and down to the blouse length. Right, now let's go ahead to work on the design of the dress. Now let's go ahead to mark the bust dart. Now measure your shoulder to waist in front and measure your shoulder to waist at the back. You notice you have a slight difference. So my shoulder to waist at the front is 17. My shoulder to waist at the front is 17, while my shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5. If you take out 15.5 from 17 inches, what you have is 1.5 inches. So what I'll do is I'm going to mark that 1.5. So let's just say this is the 1.5 inches, and I'm going to place and I will connect. So after connecting, you're going to be blending that out, right? When you are when you're cutting it out. So for the neckline, from this my basic neckline of 3 inches, if you don't want to use 3 inches, you can also use 2.5 here. So come in by 1 inch or 0.75 and then make like a slight curve, right? You'll be cutting that out. So after your waistline, come down by 3 inches, 3.5, or wherever you so desire, and then go ahead to slant it this way, creating an opening at the center. But whatever you're slanting should not be much to avoid it having excess space at this side. Now I'll blend this out. I'll come up by 2 inches or 2.5 or 1.5 depending, and then 2 inches, 2.5 is better. Then I will go ahead to connect it to this side. So after that, this is my blouse, and I'll go ahead to cut it out. So here I'll go ahead to blend here out. So after cutting this out, we'll go ahead to cut out the back pattern of this dress. For the back pattern, I've gone ahead to mark the zipper allowance. So for the zipper allowance, you can use 2 inches, 1.5. I marked the shoulder the same way we got the chest line, which is your shoulder divided by 2. Add ½ inch because this dress has like a sleeve to it. Now, I'm going to go ahead to I marked the neckline, which is 3 by 1 inch for the back neckline. So I marked the chest line, bust line, waist and blouse length, right? So what I will do now is to mark my that is my dart, sorry, which is your nipple to nipple divided by 2, and I'll mark on the waistline, blouse length, and I'll extend it all the way to the bust. I'll just use a basic dart here. I'll mark ½ inch on both sides of my waist. Then I'll go ahead to extend this all the way down to this point. Then I'll go ahead to take this all the way to this side and to the upper part. After that, I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4, add my sewing allowance, mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and then add a sewing allowance, mark my hip circumference divided by 4, and also add a sewing allowance. Go ahead to connect this and also to this point. So from here, I'll come up by 2 inches, just like we did for the front side, and I'll go ahead to connect. So I didn't get to see the back, so I'll just be using this. So for this side, at the zipper, I'll come in by half. This is to take care of the zipper bulge at the side of this dress. So I'm just going to go ahead to extend this. After that, I'll just go ahead to cut out my pattern.